In this video I'm going to show you a fairly simple trellis pattern involving a square grid. Now I already have a video on the square grid, so if you want to pop over and have a look at that and show you how to lay down the actual grid, I've already done that here, ready to show you the pattern. So I put my base stitches in and I'm going to show you a stitch over the top. This is quite a nice simple one, but it forms the basis of lots of the other trellis patterns as well, so a good one to have a go at. So I'm going to tie down my stitches here. They're very long, they're going to move, so we need to tie those down. I'm going to use a contrasting colour to do that, so I'm going to use a blue so you can see the stitches. You can choose what colours you want to do, what colour combinations you like, but bear in mind what they look like when they're stitched together. They will blend together in the eye a little bit, so you can try some different combinations and see which ones you like. So I'm just going to put a cross stitch over this grid now. We have another video on cross stitch as well if you want to check that out. And I'm going to just start in the middle just to show you the stitch and how not to move that grid. So I'm going to bring the needle up at the point where these threads cross. Now I don't want to come too close to it. If I come too close there, you see that when I straighten my needle up, that grid actually moves and we don't want to move it. So no angles with this. Needle comes straight up out of the fabric and I'm coming up in the corner of the square like so, and it doesn't matter where you start, but you just want to keep the same pattern going each time. So I'm going to come up in the top left, needle goes down diagonally across that join where those two threads join, diagonally down so the grid doesn't move for my first half of my cross stitch. So then I can put the second half in. I'm going to come up in this corner now of this square without moving the grid, diagonally across, and needle goes straight back down in vertically, and there's the second half of my cross stitch. Nothing to it really. So we're going to repeat that throughout the grid now. Just need to make sure that your diagonal stitches go the same way on the top and the bottom. So the one that I did first went left to right, so I need to make sure that the next one also goes the same way. Doesn't matter if I come up here and go down this side or do it the other way, as long as that bottom stitch is at that angle. It's left to right. And then my top stitch will be right to left, top, right, bottom, left, and then my cross stitches are the same throughout, and that gives it a nice smooth, even finish. So try and keep them going the same way if you can. And it's probably one of the simplest ways to tie the grid down. It's nice pretty effect, just your cross stitches over the top. So go the same way each time. Bottom one is left to right, top one is right to left. And just fill in the whole shape like that, trying not to move your grid now that you've got it nice and square. Get the rhythm going. Try and make your cross stitches all the same size as well. And you need to go right up to the edge of your shape. So even if you think you can't necessarily get a whole one in, go right as far as you can go. So this one is going to come up on the line, but I'm going to put one in there anyway. If in doubt, put a stitch in. It will always get covered by an outline, and that doesn't matter. But if you don't put it in and you need one, then you've got a gap. So right on the edge there, but that's fine. I've got one above it that's even smaller, but I'm going to carry on with that one as well. I'm going to put, that's come right on the line there, so I'm going to put a stitch across that join. I've just about got them crossing. Just keep that pattern going as long as you can. all the trellis stitches have a outline around them anyway, so to give them a nice neat finish. Still going the same way with my crosses. Just go to the top. I can get another one in there as well. It's close to the edge, but I've still got 2 crossing green threads underneath. Now this one here, I don't have this green one. You can see that stopped there, doesn't meet it, so I'm not going to put one in at that point. But I am going to come over here and put one in there. An edging stitch will cover that up. You won't see that, so no need for one there. Okay, so I filled into the top. You can come back down here and carry on with that one. Rather than pass the thread all the way underneath, I'm just going to step it round the side. Little stab stitch straight up and down. We'll just pass that thread on the back nice and neatly down to where I want to continue. And then just fill in the whole shape. Just coming up to the last stitch now, and I just squeeze a little one in right down at the bottom there. And you can just finish that thread off on your design line. 2 little stitches straight up, straight back down next to each other. Cut that off, and that finishes that trellis stitch. So a really nice simple trellis stitch, but I'll show you in other videos how we can build on that to make something more complex.